I hope we are not going to put you to sleep. And we've discussed earlier, and we've said we're going to keep it really short, so that it's a good Saturday evening for you guys. Keep it meaningful. Keep it, really precise and to the point. So, like the MC introduced, my name is Sridhar Krishnan, and I head the staffing team for Fidelity Investments. Thank you for all of you being here, being patient on a day which is not very easy to be here. Thank you very much for that. So today's topic was partnership in action. It was mainly about, how do we as TA leaders really work, or TA teams really work with our staffing partners. I personally don't like calling partners vendors because, it doesn't just seem right. So I call them staffing partners. And if I look back, and Augie's here, who used to be my ex-manager at IBM, and I used to work way back 15 years ago in IBM. So, when we used to work with a lot of vendors, we used to work with a lot of partners in the industry. And, from then till now, if I have to say, or many of us will relate to it now, maybe we have changed after that, but if I have to say that we succeeded as recruiters, one was our own hard work, one was our own how we strategized the whole thing, but at the same time, there would always be these one or two vendors you would call and say, boss, it's IA, profile IA, otherwise I can't do this. And that's how it would really work, and that last day, that last minute, that last push would always work. So the landscape has really changed from the time we started, and it is changing, and it is going to change with the advent of technology, with the way technology is changing. So I'll request this panel to really come in and speak about their experiences and say what do they think and how do they interact with their vendors, and what have they done unique in their experiences. So start off with that discussion.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I can understand the post-lunch silences. Yeah, that's fine. We'll try to make it more interactive, as Sridhar said. So, my name is Anupam Srivastava, and I work as a director of talent acquisition for EMEA and APAC for TIGO. So, my view, like as Sridhar rightly said, it's not vendor, it's a partner, because that's how we see what we have seen since we started recruiting. The kind of relationship we have with the corporate and the business partners here. What I think this partnership, how I see this partnership, I can share my experience on that, is what value we are bringing in the whole system. Because many a times we see as a commercial thing, and we do not really get in seriously. There are gaps on both the sides many a times, and many a times they are so busy we don't fill the gaps there. So this partnership is very important from the industry perspective, from the recruiting perspective, because there's a much more reach there what our business partners has, and we may not have that level of reach in industry, and your experience definitely counts, right? So a lot of things like open communication and a lot of things are there which will help this partnership going forward much more effective and efficient, I believe. That's my initial thought. Maybe we'll discuss more.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Nadeem Pasha. I head the talent acquisition for Inspiraj, and I am with GWFM from the inception days. I like to be with Parko and Shiva, so I have been there in many of the events. I take this privilege to be a part of it. So I have been with Inspiraj from past 18 months. Before that, I worked with Huawei, I worked with Mindtree. I am privileged to work for Oracle, so around 18 plus years of work experience. Now coming back to the topic quickly without wasting much of time, as that has been the norm. So in fact I don't call as staffing partners also, I call them as extended family. They are a part of our recruiting family. So they are there because we have a need, and that need does not suffice to that particular task. So they are there for us whenever we have, and whenever I can, literally in a TA language I can say, we are drowning, they are there to give you, they are ready to lend you a hand to take you out, right? That's the kind of a role they play. I have 2 or 3 words to tell them. First thing, what I personally feel, what I personally prefer, they have to be ethical. So ethics plays a very important, very knowledgeable role. Ethical, they have to be ethical. Second, they have to be reliable. ethical, reliable, committed. These three words I describe my extended family members: ethical, reliable, and committed. As long as I can get these three things, we can do wonders in the recruitment and staffing world. With this, I will just pass it on to my friend.
Thanks, Naveen. Good afternoon, guys. This is Rakesh Jain, part of Grant Thornton. I had recruitment for them, coming with 15 years of experience in recruitment. I'm a total Bangalorean boy, and that's what I introduce myself as. Yeah. So coming to the topic, as all of us agree that we call them partners and consultants and not just vendors. That is what I also believe. I believe that they are consultants for us when our talent acquisition team or recruitment team has certain areas to lack, or we are not able to get certain profiles. That is when we reach out to consultants, and that is why we call them consultants, because they are able to get us those kind of profiles or individuals who can actually match with our core values or the company's core values. And that is where it becomes very important to keep your consultants closer to you. And specifically, I believe in the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your closures are happening through those 20% of your vendors. So identify those key vendors or consultants and keep them closer. Be very transparent to all of them, and be even more transparent to these 20% of the vendors, because these are the guys who will help you close positions where business is actually sitting on you and asking that I need this resource yesterday. And these are the kind of consultants who will help you get those in a shorter period of time. When I talk about transparency, it is SLA what you would need to agree with them. Make sure that you give them the feedback as and when the profiles comes in. Make sure that you help them understand the requirement from the horse's mouth. Sorry, I'm using the horse's mouth as business. So make sure that the business is also well connected through the talent acquisition team with the vendors, so that they also have a clear picture of what you are looking to hire. And that I believe has worked very well with my current and my previous companies and the relationship with my consultants. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chatbots. I head the recruiting on Danske Bank. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, with Accenture and with Bank. When my interactions with staffing partners goes like I always believe that one side is a little bit odd, which is like ABC can do a job for a larger organization, but ABC may not be able to do a job for a particular portion of the organization structure. So we structure or we get the 20% of what Rakesh spoke about, right, into a specialization, right, from a day one of the need that is a specialized role that we engage them, we partner with them to understand what the need is. So this goes with along with the recruiting team as well, so that he or she, the partner, will be able to help us with the profiles which is closer to what the need is. At the same time, keeping in the organization's culture and the three things that Rakesh spoke about: reliability and honesty and commitment kind of thing. With these three things, I tell my partners that just be transparent at every point in time that you speak about the profiles or the kind of people that you get to hear and kind of thing. So while the team does, internal team does it, while my partner also does it. So you'll have two views to say, is it opinion comes the same or different? And even the business also feels that what my partner says is the same thing that what you hear from the internal talent acquisition team. That's the way that we engage with specialized firms for specialized roles. For the larger thing, everyone is open for hiring, but the thing is, what's your valuation to the role when it comes to the final closure? That's where criticality or partnership will start binding you and the partner as well. So that's my learning in the last 15 years. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure some of you would have heard about this Porter's 5 Forces framework, right? Anybody who's in an MBA would have surely heard of that, which talks about how the organization at the top level looks at a business in terms of, the client, the vendors, barrier entry, so on and so forth. One aspect which they have completely missed out or not covered separately is talent by itself. There's an assumption in the 5 Forces framework that talent would be taken as part of the supply system. The fact in today's world, we talk about talent acquisition and talent development, talent retention. it's a very key aspect which can't be ignored. And in one of the sessions in the morning, we were talking about trying to understand about the client, but no one really spoke much about candidate. And no one spoke about how the candidate is trying to understand us. So, good afternoon again. My name is Joydeep Chakravarti. I head HR for XPO Group for India, Romania, South Africa region. And I'm currently interestingly working on a particular initiative based on Jan Carlsen's Moments of Truth. He is the ex-CEO of Scandinavian Airlines, which talks about, if I do an analogy with recruitment, there are 37 touch points between the first time when you call a candidate, which is not necessarily us, can be a vendor or our partner, till the point the candidate joins us. And in these 37 touch points, there are various moments where people go through a moment of magic or a moment of misery. And we are working on digitization in that area using crowdsourcing, using a lot of, social media, and trying to work out from a UI point some sort of a solution for this whole thing. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mohit Sharma. I head the IT talent acquisition for Society General. I think Jatinder already briefed about the organization. We're one of the largest banks in the Europe spread globally. We are the first European bank started a captive in India 19 years back, 8,500 people in India. So as a profession, I'm a recruiter. By passion, I'm a concept photographer. I go and shoot various festivals. Thanks for setting the context, Sridhar. I think as an organization, and I would not call it as maybe you want to tag it as a best practice, but we strongly believe in sticking to the fundamentals. So from a fundamental standpoint, what we ensure is we organize the search firms by expertise, by their strength, number one. Number two is get them as close to the business, which means since they're extended team, we run a one-day workshop in our premise where we invite various search firms to an extent of bringing the recruiters on the ground to our premise, explain them our business structure, explain them our business priority, so they're very well aligned in terms of terminologies, in terms of what our plans are, in terms of what should be the story should be sold outside. Bit more operational, but we also put a limit in terms of the submissions. We ensure that we urge them to not submit more than 3 to 5 resumes unless being asked for. Number 4, we also have been trying to practice, and we may not be 100% perfect, but we urge them to also look at a job description, and we help them to do that, is to really translate the mandatory requirements into specific questions, right? So when they send out the resume to us, they should be really confident why this person fits the bill. I think that's a level of conversation we try to do. Again, as I said, we're not 100% there, but we attempt to do these 4-5 things. And given the fact that they know our business context, they know our priorities, they know what we are trying to do in the industry, they also help us to build some pool, build some pipeline for us for the future uses, right? So we also attempt to simplify the communications, create a very simple metrics for them to interact with us. We reduce the search firms by half just to ensure we work with limited, but we work very closely with them. So that has been an attempt from us, from our organization, and that's my personal view as well. I'll pass it on to
Good afternoon. I'm Aditya. I head talent acquisition for Informatica. I'll not repeat what all of them have said. Just want to add a twist to it. Since we are all talent acquisition professionals, we are very clear what we want to achieve. It's a sales job, right? As simple as that. There's no blue sky thinking, right? For me, and some of you may not like it, for a fact that, so for the last 2 years, I haven't worked with any consultant at all. It may come as a surprise to some of you, or some of you may not be surprised. The question is why? Because my understanding to anything in talent acquisition is, for being a TA head, you need to be strongest in sourcing. Right? If you don't know sourcing, you should not be recruiting. Right? As simple as that. I've been a consultant in my erstwhile career, so I still do most of my senior level hiring myself. So for me, and this is a word of advice to all the consultants, to everybody else, what is missing, which I normally see, is first ask the question, what is the value you are bringing to the table, right? Because you are the eyes and ears to multiple candidates who may or may not look at us as an employer, but what is the value which you bring to the table? That is what. The games moved from very different angle to talent attraction, right? And I always believe the fact that the individual in the organization is the best talent ambassador to sell the organization than anybody else, because that's how it trends towards. Recruiting is all about branding and marketing. I'm sitting here, the reason I'm sitting here is promoting my own organization, right? I'm a recruiting guy. If you see me fly, I'm always wearing my shirt, Informatica shirt. If I fly, I'm always wearing t-shirts. My wife is sick and tired of seeing Informatica t-shirts whenever we fly, because for anybody who's a recruiter, we also hire people in aeroplanes, right? You always ask, where do you work? So that's how it works for us. My only word of advice is be clear on understanding market, and market intelligence is very, very critical. If you want to push me CVs through the regular job sites, and if you don't know how GitHub and Stack Overflow, if you don't use MPool for market intelligence, then you're in the wrong place. Pushing CVs may not help you, because my first aim is I build my capability for my own recruiter. If they are not doing their job, then it's a difficult task for me. Sorry, I just wanted to give a different twist to it so that some of you can wake up with a different angle.
Thanks for your views and the counter view. Actually, it makes a lot of sense in terms of where the world is really heading. In fact, you said it too, saying, we have actually reduced it. I think that's the case with all of us, saying, as the years have progressed, our partners have reduced and or become none. So I think looking at the technology advancements right now, or looking at what's happening, you talked about GitHub and Stack Overflow and many other platforms which can offer us better solutions. So just looking at that, what do you feel if this industry of staffing partners have to stay alive and still keep going on? What do you think they should, apart from what your views were, but how do you think it will help?
So here, so here's a couple of things I want to talk about when we talk about how we can make this partnership more impactful and more effective. So one thing what I could see many a times is missing, and I'm pretty concerned about that, because my company is not like Google and Amazon, who have a great employment brand presence in the market. Though we recruit from all of our companies, right? So for me, it's really important who is talking about teamwork to the candidate and the employer choice. That's where I could see many recruiters fail, because they don't even know. They pick a para from website or somewhere. Any candidate wants to double click on the information. So I would say the business acumen is the one thing what recruiters should know very well. That's the one important aspect, because nowadays we know in Bangalore, in Hyderabad, or all the IT hubs where the companies are there, a lot of startups are there. So really, name doesn't matter too much. Most of the time, what matters a lot is what the job the person is going to do, what the company's vision is. And people are passionate about owning a lot of things and getting things done. So it doesn't matter if it's a T-Mobile or XYZ or Microsoft. People want to really know at a certain stage what exactly job profile they're getting into. So that becomes very critical at the moment. Right?
The ability to learn, right? That's also a skill in due course. How do you assess somebody's ability to learn? So look at that. How do you get that talent? And the last point which I want to focus is on know where your talent lies. Can't do carpet bombing all over. You need to know, like for example, MDM is predominantly extensive in Calcutta because a lot of the GICs are based on that. You should know where exactly does the talent lie and which are the places where it lies. So for you to have a very sniper approach to pick up the person from that particular place, that's the kind of intelligence is where the input from my end.
So I have a little slight different opinion. Recruitment has always been a hot topic anywhere you go, right? Everywhere, starting from a grassroots level of an employee to a CEO of an organization, they tend to get involved in the recruitment activities, maybe at a different level, strategic level or at a very nascent level. It's always going to be there. Unlike other functions of HR, my personal take, I keep telling, there is nothing in between 0 and 100 in recruitment. It's always 0 or 100, right? So after 90 days of completion, the person doesn't appear on the day of joining. You are back to 0. You can't predict the function like, okay, fine, I have completed, I have made an offer, 70% job done, 30% pending, right? You can't keep all those hopes in the cloud. Though there is a proper cloud, but you can't build a virtual cloud against the candidate. So recruitment function is a very, very important function. It will continue to exist. Now coming back to the staffing partners, I read one thing recently in a WhatsApp message which I personally like. My name is HR, I am not a chatbot. That was a very good message what I saw. I tell the same thing to my staffing partners also. My name is a recruiter, right? I am a human being and I also treat you like a human being. They also want to be aligned with us to make sure that they understand the need of the organization. They want to fulfill some of these needs by bringing value. But how much they think that are bringing value or closing position, that they need to align themselves well. If they are looking forward to close a position, I personally feel the partnership is going to end very fast. But if they feel like they are going to bring value, the partnership will extend. This is my take on it.
Two cents from my side is that if you need to be relevant in the future, you have to try to give the solution and not just the profile. My understanding is if there is a USP from the vendor that they can come and bring up and give you that MI or market intel, that this is where you can get your talent and not just what the recruiter is asking you, that is not, maybe will help them be relevant in the future. That is one. And second is you have to have the very clear understanding of the business, what you are getting into. Basically in Hindi terms you say, paisa kahan se banta hai. So if you are able to identify where the business is coming from, that is where the consultant can actually help you out and then give you the right profile rather than just giving you a number of profiles. Thank you.
Okay, good question, Sridhar. Actually, we are not thought about it. Okay, is it will the function exist in the future? Yes. Today, if we go back to large organizations, I said the TA function could be as big as 600 employees. Organization. In the future, maybe the next 5 to 8 years down the line, I'll connect you back to what Shrikant spoke of EY. Spoke about the TA teams will become shorter, slimmer, leaner. You will have a smaller, leaner teams to cater to your needs. But there will be a bunch of microservices that will start forming so that your job is done at some part of the world, and get you the results. So it's a pay per outcome. So that's going to be the future. And secondly, about what does changes that the partner should bring on, right? One is we spoke about just give me 3 profiles, right? I like your approach, right? So we should just say that, okay, I'll give you 3 profiles and I'll also tell you why they are fit for this organization. If your fitness or your cultural fitness and the technology that comes in future, that will be the valuation that you do. And also in terms of who are the one who speaks to the candidate the first time and what he or she spoke to the candidate, that's going to be the engaging first time engagement with the candidate, and then the long-term relationship will be from that point. So that's my takeaways.
Let me share a different angle. So the basic theme of today's session is about the gig economy, right? So you're talking about, we saw examples of Uber and Airbnb. If you see any gig economy, like any other economy, has got two stakeholders. You have a supplier and you have a consumer. If you look at Airbnb, with the one sector of it, either the supplier or the consumer has to be warehoused, which means they have to be organized. In Airbnb, the rooms are organized. If you talk about Uber, the drivers are getting organized. But if you talk about recruitment, that element of organization is still far away. Of course, EY was talking about doing something in those lines. But if you go with what Suraj was talking about in the morning, that Case study, it takes some time here because it depends upon the domain. For example, I am from a aerospace and automotive. So for me, if I have to talk about gig in the real sense, there's a risk about data confidentiality. If I am by any chance lose a certain data, it can cause errors or millions, cause us millions. So one is domain, second is the country. Like you rightly said that in India, there's since a certain sense of taboo about short-term contracts, taboo about if I do this for a short period, would I get a good husband or a wife or a car or a next job or a green card or whatever it is. It's not that simple. Now, if I go back to the factor that there are two stakeholders, the supplier and the consumer, I think the role which the partners, the talent acquisition partners which you are playing is very significant, but still it is not evolved fully. It still has a perception of it's like a fly-by-night sort of thing, make a lot of money, it's very easy, get 8%, 10%, lakhs of rupees, you are happy. But honestly speaking, the role is so critical, I don't think it will go away, but just needs to mature. Take a simple example of RPO. Just a month back, I was in Pune and someone suggested if you're having an issue with recruitment, why don't you go to RPOs? And trust me, in the last 1 month, I have met at least 7 RPOs. Nothing but glorified job agencies. Because RPO by full form means recruitment process outsourcing. But what they really do is, we give the requirements to them, but I don't trust them, I am still searching myself. So, we are not really trusting the equation yet. We are still seeing that, oh my god, the cost of recruitment is very high. But if that is the case, my question to the organization is, what about the cost of retention or the cost of attrition? So it's a very complicated topic, but what would really make sense, and this is something which we are working on with about 7, partners like yourselves between Pune, Chennai and Bangalore. We are meeting every once in 3 months, off-site literally, and trying to see how do we engage, because India being the focal point right now, a lot of work from the UK, from Germany, from France is wanting to move to India. So far the challenge has been, does India have the skill, or they have insecurity of losing jobs there, which I can't deny. But on top of it, we are not really partnering with this ecosystem who can actually make us do better. And I think both sides there are challenges in making it happen.
Okay, so I'll go with the second question first. That's on the, I think in my view, in my personal view about it, the industry would exist. In fact, in my view, I think this industry is going to grow. However, I think there's going to be a lot of collaboration which I anticipate is going to happen. Which means the two, one staffing firm with an expertise one, the other staffing firm or let's say an HR tech firm could collaborate. So there's going to be more of collaboration to grow in the industry, number one. Number two is also subject to, we often speak about upskilling for the employees, but I think it's also about our industry, how quickly we adopt to the changes, how quickly we innovate, transform. I think that's going to be very, very imperative in the next 3-4 years. I feel that the pace by which the staffing firms or the community is innovating is less as compared to what the ask is for the industry, number one. Now, that's the answer to the first question, which is on how the technology or the digital world is impacting. It's linked to the first answer as well. From a staffing firm perspective, I think very important for you to adopt some of the, or rather leverage some of the technology to narrow down the supply, right? How you could do that, for instance, an online assessment platform, instead of we bring in our system, you bring it in your system, right? It could be an aggregator interview platform where you put the candidates through the assessment and bring in, so far let's say if you supplied 100, you rather supply 10, right? But when you supply, you don't only supply with the resumes, but you also supply with the report. You supply with the confidence that these people have gone through an assessment, and that's why they're suitable. I think that's where I feel that technology is something which is going to change the nature of engagements we have. From our perspective, I think how it would change. Today, I don't think many organizations really assess and measure the effectiveness of agencies or the search firms in their engagement with the candidates, right? What we're trying to do in our organization is one of the aspects of the chatbot which we're implementing is the chatbot would also nudge the candidates and take feedback about the agencies was supply the resume of the candidate, right? In terms of are you happy with the kind of information you receive from a partner, right? Post offer, the partner being in touch with you, and the candidate would give a rate, which would give us a consolidated view of how the partners having performed. So in nutshell, Sridhar, my view, I think this industry is going to accept more of collaboration. Technology is going to play a major role, but it also depends on how quickly you adopt and innovate basis our business needs.
Thank you very much. I think great views, some of it diverse, but I think really good views. And like Mohit said, I think yes, it is going to improve. A couple of things which is going to be game changers are, and they've already started, is maybe technology. I think technology is going to be a big one, which is in ongoing, and it is going to kind of disrupt the whole industry. Some people are going to go away, some people are going to be much better in it. I think the more specialized or the most diverse they get, I think it's going to be better. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm not going to ask any more questions because, like I said, I'm going to keep it short, and I hope all of them are okay with that. And I'd like to, we'd like to invite questions if there's anything from the audience. We'd be happy to take. We took 23 minutes, is what we said. So nothing.
We did a job. Right?
That's like record.
Answer all the unanswered questions.
I have a question here, because all of you are gurus in the recruitment world. Your own recruiters or the recruiters which you carry from your partners, they become expensive day by day, right? I'm sure they are also employees. They also look for 10, 15%, 20% raises from you on an annual basis. And after some time, they become too expensive for what they're doing. What is your advice to those guys and girls, right? They're doing the same job day in and day out, right? All together for years together. They think their career can be carried till 58 by that logic, right? At what stage does the industry start pivoting them off and start wiping them off the industry itself and say, thank you, you're too expensive for the job?
So you're talking about the recruiters in the organization?
Recruiters in the organization and recruiters in the agencies too, or in the RPOs itself. My personal impression about them is they become too expensive and then become the bureaucratic layer itself in the organization to slow down.
Yeah, they become too expensive, they become TA heads like us.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I'm an expensive recruiter. My input is, for me, if I look at my own charter, I'm being very honest. For me, recruiter capability development is the first thing. Rest all can wait for me. I'm very clear on that. And the right point which you brought up. So it's like a technologist, right? In due course of time, like in Hindi, आपके पास दो रास्ते हैं. So you either pick up the management role or you pick up being a hardcore recruiter. So my input is I have people in my team. The aim is to make sure that my role becomes redundant, so that I do succession planning. Right now, I have 2 people in my team who would be a possible successor in a year's time to do my own role, right? So that's how you groom your next level. There are people in the team who don't want to do these roles. They become your exec search people in your own team whom you would have to develop. I have very high regards for people in the exec search firm because they spend a lot of quality time with the candidate. And for me, that's the right place a lot of people would want to do because they don't want to do the management roles, right? But for all this, as TA leaders and as you rightly pointed out, the most important part for us is to upskill, groom these folks for them to be in a position that every year they pick up something new, right? So very important that they run initiatives. In my team, everybody runs different initiatives. For somebody who does only events like your meetups, there are people who do only post-offer scheduled program. There are person who runs diversity. Those need to be inculcated in individuals so that they groom up, and then you identify whether this person is going to become an IC or this person will be a possible successor to your role. There will be some of those folks who might become overtly expensive, but you don't have anything for them. There has to be some exit. So, good question. Sorry.
That's a very good question. In fact, we have this challenge where I'm working. But let me give you a different angle. Let me compare a recruiter and a sales manager. They have the same job. The salesperson is trying to convince, and particularly from the company I'm in, the services company, you are selling a dream. I don't have a physical product to sell, right? And even a recruiter is selling a dream. He can't really create a tangible element to that particular opportunity. But see the difference, the sales guy in most cases at some point has a very glamorous lifestyle, great cars and great mobile phones or watches and stuff like that. and in the 6 months period or 1 year period, he gets a $200 or $2 million revenue business. Recruiter is doing that every day. This morning we had 75 recruitments, which unfortunately didn't happen. We only did 38. We offered about 9 of them right now. I have to go back and sign it. The reality is, I think a lot of growth is highly possible. If you look at the CEOs of companies, mostly come from finance or sales or operations. But if you look at HR heads, I believe that someone from a recruitment background has a much higher possibility, provided they are doing their job properly. So I think it is not an issue. Similarly, if you look just 2 weeks back, we moved a recruiter who had become a recruitment lead into PMO, project management office. Moving from talent acquisition, he has gone to talent management. So the opportunities are massive. I don't think there's a limitation at all.
Just to add one point here, as you said, rightly upscaling and what you can add value. If you have a one skill, you get paid 5 lakhs to 120% hike year on year. But if you're not keep adding skills at one point of time, you will be out of the market. So that's really important. Like how you are different. Everyone cooks food, but how differently you cook, what ingredients you use, what's the presentation, and what innovation you bring in cooking. I think that's what matters, and that's what people should be able to justify why they are worth of 50 lakhs, 40 lakhs, whatever amount it is. Just for sourcing skills, you cannot talk to the business. It may not be worth that. So all those people will be out soon if you're not able to upgrade yourself at the time.
Okay, the other thing what I want to bring into the table is as these recruiters are judging candidates at the other end, they are judging themselves as well. They know where they are moving. They know very clearly what direction they are going. And one best thing for any recruiter or any person, they follow the footsteps of their manager. And they see the manager growing, the manager doing good work, what ladder or how communication happens, how business collaboration happens, how candidate engagement happens. So they are watching it. They are watching it very closely. And they tend to get impressed and influenced very fast. Recruiter, one of the quality of a recruiter is to influence and impress others as well as get influenced, impressed by themselves. Right? They do that very often. The key example what I want to give you is when I started my career as a recruiter. Now I haven't seen many of my friends are still in recruitment industry. They know it's a very, very high pressure job. They know it's a target based job. They know it is a question based commitment they need to give. Slowly after 4 years, 5 years, they moved either into operations or they have taken HRBP role. And they know, okay, getting into this role, they'll be able to settle down or they'll be able to do a better job or they'll be able to do justice to it. And once they get into a HRBP role, they'll grow as a HRBP lead or they'll become a HR manager over a period of time. That's the alternate path they have decided for themselves. But there are some passionate people who live recruitment, who like to follow up with the candidate at 12 in the night. So they are born recruiters, I can say. So they continue to follow the profession irrespective of pay hike or pay whatever they get in the industry or the bonus or commission what they get. But yes, they get impressed and influenced and benchmark their managers. And they tend to go in that path. That's my take.
Sorry, I just have one point to make. A very generic response to what you asked. Just not recruiting, as in, when you're talking about someone doing a great job year on year and he's growing in the same role and may not be diversifying in terms of skills, and that's what you need. That means the guy is getting specialized year on year. Today he did 20 hires, tomorrow he does 100 hires, he expects to get more for the same effort, only the effort is changing, the skill set is not changing.
So what I've observed is that there are good companies, big companies like L&D, to name them, they engage with multiple recruitment partners depending upon the business, and their business has been growing. I'm working with them last 8-10 years, right? I've not seen them not growing. At the same time, what I have seen is there are companies which will come up with RPOs. They will say, okay, no to recruitment firms, and all of a sudden, I can give 10 examples. All of a sudden, after second year, third year, when it comes to sales, you look for all the avenues to sell. When it comes to purchase, you look for all the avenues to purchase. The quality should be good and the product should be good, right? And the price should be competitive. Similarly, when it comes to the most critical piece we are saying is talent. When it is coming to talent, I'm wondered many a times organizations they take a call. Okay, we will not hire it from outside.
That means a lot of talent. When there may be 20 recruiters sitting inside your company, but they will have one way of thinking. Whereas if you are engaging in some six, seven good recruitment companies across India, you will have 7 avenues of good talent being onboarded. So what I have seen is that when they go to RPO, I'm talking about some of the automobile companies, some of the IT companies, they go to RPO, and all of a sudden the business goes down. So what do you have to say about it?
My experience, we did experimenting in this organization. There are 2 ways to look at it. Okay, one is the first part is what is the quantum of risk that you want to take, and then what is the plan B, right? So when we tried doing for a certain set of business, we didn't go full-fledged to the RPO. We had partially went and then we saw the success. At the same time, we also had our internal team to work on this one. So we did a as well as B to see the how the water is flowing and everything. Right? That's what we did. Yeah. So when you want to look at can I go full-fledged with RPO and fail? What do my business talk about? Probably I will fail. And then being a recruiting head, you should always think about always be optimistic as well as have a pessimistic view of what in case if things don't go well. So that's been the take in my last 40 years of career. So that's been.
So in my view, being the RPO or what's your sourcing strategy, I think primarily driven by your business priorities. It's a clear lack of strategy and vision. So you're right, and there are organizations who adopt it, fail, but I think that's natural as well. We in our life also sometimes make a change and then we fail, right? So there are also some.
What I've seen is it's not that the RPO has failed. I've seen those organizations, their sales have gone down, and because it's all about talent. So if you are not by any which way, if I'm the founder, any which way I find good talent, whatever it costs to me, and whatever way it comes to me, whether it is my own recruiter sitting in my company is doing it, or somebody else is doing it for me. So in an industry, supposing you are in a particular industry, you have some 10-12 players in the industry. And of those 12 players, you need to fetch the best lateral. When it comes to lateral, you need to fetch the best of it. So rather than opting for one way or other, I feel a multiple strategy. The way we do in sales, what we do digital sales, we do e-commerce, we have a distribution network, we have institutional sales also. Like Schneider is there, they do sales all the days. So for a particular type of sales, they will have 5, 7, 8 verticals of sales, and that's the reason the company is growing. A similar strategy for talent, I believe, can make it a little bit more robust.
So I think, so I'm not sure if that would answer your question clearly. But back to my point, I think the adoption of a model is primarily driven by your business record. I mean, probably you perceive it there's a dip in their business because they adopted a new model. It may not be the case as well, and with due respect to some of the organizations have done really well with a clear vision, right? But I think Jaideep brought a very good point. As a TA leader, it's very important when you change and you bring in a new model, you also should have a backup. You should have always a plan B. And I go with what you're saying, right? It's very important, and I strongly believe that you should continue to have some strong search partners independent of what your model is. Because they are your face to the market, they also bring in inputs to you in terms of your growth. So I think it has to be always an A plus B. It cannot be just an A, it cannot be just an B, it can be a mix of it. But it's worth to experiment as well, but learn with the mistakes.
So do you run your own consulting company? Yeah. So you have pain and responsibility, right? Do you manage the profit and loss? Do you manage the budget?
Being the founder and CEO, what else?
Good. So the same is for anybody who runs business on the other side. I'm just making it very simple. For anybody to attract talent, and the point is very correct, right? If you logically think.
So what I feel is that to save some of the TA guys, just to save their own position.
Correct.
They're harming the organization. That's what.
No, that's fine, and that's a good point of view. My only issue with that is when business doles out money, everybody comes out with a budget. You have a cost to hire individual, right? and I'm sure most of the TAs know that. We have a cost to serve in our organization, and there is rated cost for every position which you want to save. Right? Now, in an ideal world, you are correct. To attract the best talent, you should actually have a good mix of 33% internal, 33% employee referral, 33% external, right? These are the ideal world for you to be in, right? Because then you get diverse portfolio of resumes and the inflow of people in the organization. That's the way it works from an ideal world. Organizations individually run their own agendas, right? Now it really depends on what kind of people I'm hiring from the outside of the market. Right? Let's take an example. If I'm going to hire only .NET, right? It's very simple, right? I don't need to work with a staffing partner, right? Ideally, if somebody is working with you, he would then go down because I worked in Accenture. I did that role, so I will go down on the rate which I would be working with you, right? Niche skill to vanilla skill. I'm sure we all know the thing, right? So for me. It's the skill which you want to hire, but then organizations are in a position to upskill the recruiter. Today the recruiter, don't you want to use the word, the sourcer, basically is as skilled as a person sitting in an agency today, right? At least I can vouch for my own team, right? And they are in a position to fulfill, because if they are not, then I don't need them. Right? Then I'd rather work with an agency, right? I don't want somebody to be in an organization who manages this work. I can do that myself. So it really depends. One, as I said in the starting, the value which you bring to the table. If you are a player specifically on the UI market, right? If you look at JavaScripting as an area, that's the in thing from a technology standpoint. Most of the organizations are going in that direction. If you are an SME in that area, organization would want to work with you. Because any of us wouldn't want to retire at 58 or 60, continuously would be working, right? That's a massive pool which organization in another 5 years will be looking at. If you become, I'm just giving an example, if you become a single player in that area, anybody to everybody would want to work with you. It's a partnership, and a consultative approach is what organization would want. This is just my 2 cents, man.